Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Sabbath Show, and today we've got the match review straight off the press. Carlton North Melbourne picked up the 4 points in what was a convincing 50-point win. Major takeaways. First and foremost, I have just seen from the match feed on the website, Carlton have set a new AFL season record for uncontested possession differential in a quarter, 75-25. So random stats for you, pretty insignificant in the grand scheme, but we talk about key things that happen in this game. Obviously, given match results today and given past history, you would have given North a chance to beat us. And at halftime, it also looked like that was a very, very real possibility, which would have scared a lot of the Carlton faithful. But luckily, we picked up the 4. 5-2 looks much better than 4-3, and we go up against Adelaide next week, who played a diabolical type performance against GWS. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Jack Carroll debut, unbelievable, unbelievable. Kicked a goal with his first kick, which obviously you couldn't get off to a better start. And just precision with kicking. He's got a lot of height about him. So obviously that puts you at an advantage as opposed to being a little bit smaller and probably having to work a little bit harder for your possessions. Just look really, really at ease. He spun out of traffic a little bit, a few times, and it all looked pretty seamless. So you do not complain. You take those. He looks like he's going to be a gun. Obviously was a draft slider when we picked him up, and we were considered pretty lucky to get him at that position. I think it was in the 30s. So he could be a heck of a player. We talk about the mainstays, Paddy Cripps. Obviously, you couldn't ask for much more. The tandem of Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow were pretty potent in this game. Mind you, Charlie couldn't kick for his life. Probably could have ended up with about 5 or 6 at least, and only ended up with a 3. So could have advanced further up the Coleman tally, but it is what it is. Another thing, third quarters have been our problem this year. Haven't won one until tonight, where we kicked 7 goals 3 as opposed to 2 goals 1 for North. So that's a major positive. I mean, sometimes you can come out of halftime and be a bit lethargic because it takes you a little bit of time to warm up and whatnot, but it was far from that. I think we sensed that there's a bit of vulnerability with this North side because they're obviously very young, and not really exposed as much as the Carlton team, and even though we probably got TDK probably got taught a bit of a lesson from Goldie in the first half. It's one thing to win the taps, but it's a completely different ball game trying to read the tap. And if you're the opposition and you can read ruck taps, no matter who it's from, then that puts you at an advantage. And given our midfield personnel was much stronger, if we could do that, that was always going to help us out. And that's why we basically banged on the goals in the third quarter. I mean, they didn't really have any options defensively to really cover for Harry, Josh Walker, and Aidan Bonner. I mean, really, that's not going to hold up in an AFL game, especially if you're trying to man up against like a 200 centimeter beast. Speaking of which, though, that guy just doesn't get enough free kicks for my liking one bit. Eleni, as much as we love diversity and stuff, female, male umpire, it's completely irrelevant. She literally was the 19th player on the field. There was a Harry Mackay mark in the second quarter that she claimed was touched, yet not one North player got near it. She bumped, not intentionally, but basically rammed TDK over when we were trying to attack the corridor, and it resulted in a North set shot, which they happily converted. So, mate, if that doesn't scream 19th player on the field, I don't know what does. If that doesn't scream imposter, I don't know what does. So there you have it. It is what it is in that department. But, other players that I think a lot of people won't show love towards, Zachy Fisher was exceptional with his kicking. I mean, he was just using his peripheral vision, it was just unbelievable. Some of the kicks lace out. I think there was one where Nunes was all open by himself in the forward line, and it was on the other side of the 50, and Zach Fisher just wheeled out of traffic and hit up Nunes. Stuff like that. I mean, if he was a right foot, it probably would have been a little bit different, but that really helped open the game up for us. I think that was the key in the third quarter. Attacking the corridor, being much more daring with our play, and North couldn't really cope with that. It was basically a carbon copy of what other teams had done to us in previous weeks. Major lapses, just not enough cramming of the corridor to make it a bit more difficult for them to get through. It was really easy. So, yeah, basically we got that service tonight, and other nights it'll be different. But we take those. 50-point win, as I said. It's grouse. Hewitt possibly to, come back next week. I'm hoping so. For numerous reasons, fantasy, super coach, and obviously because I'm a Carlton supporter and he's been a legend this year. So that's grouse. TDK, he was alright in the ruck. Backline, holding up very firmly. Only conceded 3 goals in the second half. Outside of the second quarter, basically, they kicked 5 goals. And in one quarter, they kicked 5 goals. So outside of that second quarter where, it's always, it's part of the Carlton experience to have a lapse in the game. And it was the second quarter this time. But luckily, it was a North Melbourne and not a Melbourne. And they weren't able to punish us. We were up at halftime despite their dominance in that second quarter, or whatever you want to say. Yeah, so look, I'm happy with it. There is work to do. There's always work to do. You can't settle for 50-point wins. If you win by 50, you can say, well, I want to win by 65 next time. I want to find ways to kick more goals. Inaccuracy, even though we kicked 17 goals, 12, I reckon we could have kicked 140 if we were a little more accurate. Obviously, the shots on goal would have allowed us to do that. 130, 135. And percentage is valuable given that we, didn't really do much for that in the first 6 weeks of the year. We were under 100% before this game. So that obviously did not help. But this win has beefed it up a little bit. We're back in the hundreds, back in triple figures. And yeah, I mean, it's a step in the right direction, So that's probably all I have to say. Jack Martin was excellent as well. Forwards, even though they don't get a lot of the footy, pressure was wonderful. I think that was another great thing about the game. A lot of feistiness in the contest as well. Obviously, past seasons, that edge has really been lacking. We just didn't show enough fight, passion. When Jack Carroll kicked the goal, they got around him. Wiedering hadn't kicked the goal in about 4 years. He kicked the goal, they got around him. Lewis Young absolutely decked Zerha. That was a big bump. Stocker decked, I don't know who it was, but he decked him as well. We made him earn it. And if that's going to be the Carlton that we see for the rest of the year, I'm not even going to be complaining if we lose games. We've got to make teams earn it. And obviously, North, I mean, they were battered and bruised and still lost by about 8 goals. So tough luck for them. But look, we come out of this one with pretty much everything we could have asked for. So I'm pretty happy as a Carlton supporter. Share your thoughts in the comments as to what you thought. Drop a like and subscribe. It's a weekly thing. And Adelaide next week, as I said, pretty diabolical from them. So they will be looking to bounce back. But it is at home, and Carlton usually have the fans behind them, and that serves as a major advantage given we're the home side. So, I think that puts us at a good starting point, but obviously go to training, work hard, and then execute the game plan on match day. So hopefully that all goes well. But yeah, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.